Helping Seniors Television, all about improving quality of life for seniors. If you're a senior, know a senior, or plan to be a senior, then this show is for you. It's all about helping you develop your own aging plan so you can age actively and with dignity. Helping Seniors Television from the Helping Seniors Network of information, education, and resources.
Welcome to this edition of Helping Seniors Television. Helping Seniors is the Brevard County, Florida 501c3, and we are dedicated to helping keep seniors and their families informed, educated, and connected to resources that make a difference. We titled this show, The Business of Helping Seniors, which seems a little bit odd when you talk about a nonprofit, but I have the privilege of sitting here with our longtime friend for the Helping Seniors. She serves us in the role of Director of Development. She has actually served this organization since its very beginning and actually helped Joe Steckler, our founder and now chair emeritus, going back into the days when Joe was building up the Brevard Alzheimer's. I'm talking about Nancy Deardorff. Hey, Nancy, how are you?
Hi, Kerry. Good. How are you?
Good. It's almost an oxymoron when you say, here we are a nonprofit and we want to talk about the business of helping seniors. But yet the reality is there is a business underlying the work of helping seniors because we have bills to pay. We have things that we must do to be able to offer the services. And in a nonprofit, it doesn't mean you're not a business. It just means the reason that you exist is not for somebody's personal, situation. The reason we exist is to conduct the services that we provide in the community. So here we are 15 years into the business of helping seniors. And one of the things we want to talk about is how businesses do get involved in helping seniors and help us do this work. And they do that through something that we call sponsorship. And it's interesting because the sponsorship, Nancy, and you can speak to this as well as I can, is not just about the financial participation. Like a lot of times you'll see it on public TV, they'll say this program was underwritten by so-and-so. But we go a whole nother level because we ask the people who are underwriting and helping us sponsor these things to share their expertise so that it is for the good of seniors. Talk a little bit about just how you see that happening.
I think it's such a symbiotic relationship, if I can use that word, because, yes, we exist for the purposes of helping seniors. That's why we exist. Right. But we would not exist if it weren't for our donors and our sponsors. Sponsors. Yeah. Our sponsors are sometimes corporate sponsors. Sometimes they are privately owned small businesses in the community. Yeah. The commonality between them is they all have a footprint in Brevard County, so we know them. The reason I say symbiotic is because the benefit to the seniors is, I always say, how do you know what you don't know? You don't. The other thing I often say is that old saying that says, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And our goal is to help seniors develop their aging plan and get knowledge so they know where to turn for a wide variety of issues, whether it's legal, household, financial, transportation, senior living, you name it. It's really too long for me to name all of them. So no subject is off the table. How do we educate our seniors? We do that through a multitude. People will ask me, well, how do you say you inform, educate, and connect people? How do you do that? We do that through a variety of methods. One of them is this television program. Mm-hmm. One of them is our radio program, which airs once a week. Yep. We have also our newsletter, which is really a magazine within a magazine. We work closely with the publisher of Senior Scene magazine. And the commonality, plus we have podcasts, we have social media, any way and every way that we can reach a senior to convey the message of what is out there to help them is what we do. And you're right, we survive on donors and sponsorships. So when a business sponsors us, they are supporting our ability to operate. because like you said, even though we're nonprofit, nobody's making hundreds of thousands of dollars here at Helping Seniors. We're very frugal, and Joe intended it that way. And we've always kept it that way. We don't waste money. 100% of our sponsorships and our donors, the donations that we receive stay in Brevard County to help Brevard County seniors and their families. So we're very proud of that. How do we do that? We have a network. We have a network of businesses, organizations, providers that are our sponsors. They help us to operate because, folks, we have an FPL bill just like a for-profit business is, right? And although we keep our expenses low, not only do we have a few, but we also want to expand those programs that we're providing for free for seniors. Yeah. So sponsorships. When a business or organization sponsors Helping Seniors of Brevard, what do we do for them? We promote their business. First of all, we add them to our network. There's some vetting that goes on for sure, because we want to make sure if somebody calls our senior information line, reads an article, watches a TV program, however they get their info from us, and they call one of the businesses in our network, they know that that is a senior-focused, trustworthy business that they can rely on. And so the benefit to the senior is, who do I call if I need a handyman? Who do I call if I need an elder care attorney? You name it. You don't know. I don't know about you, but if I don't know of something, and we know a lot because of what we do, but if I don't, I usually ask somebody I know. Right. That's not always reliable because different people have different experiences. You know, one person might say, oh, I went to this mechanic, they were great. And the other one says, I had a bad experience. So we have a network of trusted providers, and what we do for them is we promote them, and we do that through our media, TV, radio, podcasts, social media, our newsletter, and live programs. We have live programs here. So not only are the people or the organizations and businesses in our network supporting us, but they in turn provide education. So let's just take, for example, elder care attorney. We have several that are our sponsors, some for a long, long time now. Yeah. We appreciate them. I always say almost everybody needs an elder care attorney. You don't have to be rich to need an elder care attorney. So not only is that an option for you if you call us and say, hey, I need a good elder care attorney, but when we do these articles, radio shows, TV, the live programs, those attorneys, people from those attorneys' office or the attorney themselves come here and provide free information, and they will do lectures or speaking engagements on a variety of topics related to elder care, for instance. And the same with our other businesses that are our sponsors. So quite frankly, we wouldn't exist without our sponsors. We couldn't thrive or grow and help seniors the way we do. And so I love our sponsors, not just because they sponsor us, but they do such a good job. And that's part of what I do as Director of Development is I meet with them, I talk with them, and I'm so proud of our network of providers, which is ever growing, because we feel good if someone calls and says, I need this or that. Here's a business, here's an organization that can help you, because I know they can be trusted and will do a good job for that senior.
You know, as you were talking about that, I was thinking about the fact that there's a couple of things we always, Joe Steckler, our founder and chair emeritus, has always talked about building an aging plan, saying these are things that you need to organize so that your your senior journey is one that is as well as it can be and as pleasant as it can be. And to that extent, though, that means taking advantage, or we call it getting your ducks in a row, but we basically ask people to think about things in 7 different categories that would help them prepare navigation so that they can do a good job with this. But there are a couple of things that we've learned along the way with that, Nancy. We call them corollaries to this. We say, number one, don't try this on your own. In other words, we all love to get behind a computer and maybe do some kind of a search online and try to maybe answer questions ourselves. But I don't know.
Easy to go down the rabbit hole there.
That's what I was going to say. There's been times I've been down that and then I end up coming away more confused than I actually started with. Because particularly, like, if I use this as an example, if you're researching a legal question, you know, all these answers are going to pop up, Then you start to look into them. Well, this one's from the state of Washington, or this
Yes.
one's from the state of Montana. Well, that may or may not be Florida law.
Right.
And then the other challenge is you'll start to look at what the date of this advice is, and you say, oh, well, that was from 2013. Well, the laws could have changed or whatever's going on. And so it becomes dangerous. You're kind of like out on the wild, wild west, taking your own chances, whereas you could talk to somebody that really makes sense for you. But the other corollary that kind of gets added into that is that you need to talk to somebody who's local, because all too often we'll see somebody that we used to really enjoy on television from the 1970s. They were maybe part of one of our best TV shows or something like that. And we just really have always admired them. And now they're going to talk to you about choosing the right Medicare plan or the right reverse mortgage or the right whatever the product is.
Yes.
And the challenge is you're going to call that 800 number and you're going to speak to somebody who probably is very well-meaning. You just have no idea where they're located. They could be in the Midwest. They could be overseas for all we know these days. And they're going to try to navigate you to a resource right here in Brevard County that's going to make a difference. But they don't really have the perspective of knowing anything about our county. And we've talked about this many times. Like if you were calling and it was medically related, like you're maybe considering a Medicare option, and they say, oh, there's a good doctor right there for you in Titusville, but you live in Satellite Beach. That's not going to be a good option. What you do is that you bring a lot of local sponsors together where Brevard is their focus. And so when you're talking to somebody here in Brevard, not only are they a local business that you can know and trust because they're here in the same, they're your neighbor for that matter, but they also understand the dynamics of the Space Coast, 71 miles north to south, only 12 miles wide.
Yeah.
And, you know, on a map, you could say, oh, you just go over to Orlando for that. Well, that may not necessarily be your best option. Talk
Exactly.
about that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we're a unique county. We're very unique. 72 miles long is long.
Yeah.
If you ask people that live up in Titusville, they'll tell you that South Brevard is like almost another state or another country to them, and vice versa. And then you've got Beachside, which I grew up on Beachside, and I know some. I'm not there anymore, and I know some people that live Beachside, and Beachside people do not want to cross those causeways. Yeah. They don't want to go over the bridge. It's a thing over there. They're like, oh, I don't want to go all the way to Melbourne, even though it's just over the causeway. So, yeah, the advantage of helping seniors, of reaching out to us for who do I call for this or that, is we know the county. I've been in this county 45 years. I moved here when I was just a kid. I grew up here. I went to high school here. I went to college here. And I live here now. So I'm not quite a native, but almost. If there was a honorary native, I'm that. And you've been in Brevard County a long time. We have a lot of resources, and they're local, and they know the county, and they know the nuances of the county. So that's something we really are very proud of. Aside from the fact that 100% of our donations and sponsorships, all the money that we take in to help our little nonprofit keep going stays here in Brevard.
Yeah.
They don't go to I just have to mention this because people are leery of charities. Yeah. They don't go to extravagant salaries. We don't work here to get rich, obviously. No. We work with Helping Seniors of Brevard because we have a passion to carry on Joe's vision, which was helping seniors, helping seniors have a better life. And like I said, we depend on our sponsors and our private donors to do that. And we thank them so much. We couldn't do it without them. And I get excited to promote our sponsors because people like to help people. I'm no different. So when someone says, gosh, I don't know what to do about this situation. If I know, I'm like, I know who you can call. Yeah. And that feels good because I've just helped them out. I mean, who do you call? Like you said, you could just go down the rabbit hole on the internet. You could ask a friend. It's not necessarily, maybe going to work out for you or that it did for the friend. It's best to call an organization that knows. And I'm very proud to promote our sponsors because they're good people, good organizations and businesses. They're honest. They do good by seniors. I've never had a call back from somebody where we've and Karen and the volunteers that I know of, where they've called back and said, I called you guys for a recommendation for a resource for XYZ. I've never had a call back of somebody saying, how dare you give me that resource? They were terrible. They lied. They didn't show up. We've never had that happen, because if we did, we would investigate that and they wouldn't be part of our trusted network.
Thank you for saying that, because I was thinking the other part of this is, I was talking about the fact that so often we get inundated with TV commercials on so many things that are particularly of importance to seniors. And again, I mentioned a couple areas. You often see a Medicare ad, or you'll see a national about a reverse mortgage. And another couple of areas that you'll see these ads about, and I want you to think about this for a minute, is that, it might be, well, it's time to find a place for mom or dad, the right, assisted living kind of thing.
Yes.
And there's an 800 number you can call and they will help you.
Well, and they advertise, I have to say, this is free to you.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, it's free if you use a local. It's free, no matter what the company's name is.
Yes.
If you are a senior placement agency and you're helping the adult child find the appropriate assisted living for your mom or your dad,
right,
it's always free. So don't let that fool you. It's a free service that's provided. Personally, I would always use, for my family, I would always use a local service. They literally know these buildings. They know the assisted living. They know the executive directors. A lot of times they know the director of nurses. They know these people, and they're not going to recommend a place to live if they're not impressed with it.
See, that's exactly the point, because when you call the 800 line and you're talking to that nice young lady or young man from Des Moines, Iowa. I don't know why I'm picking on Iowa. No offense, guys, if you're from Iowa. But you're talking to somebody in a call center who's genuinely trying to help, but they are literally doing the same kind of internet search through what their resources are.
They have credentials probably in a credential book. What is this? What's the address?
Yeah.
What is? They probably have pictures. What does the apartment look like? What's their meals like? They have the amenities, just like you would look up a hotel, right?
It'd be like looking in a travel guide or something.
But our local folks are in these buildings all the time.
Yeah. They've eaten the food. They know who the staff is. They know who's on the rise, who's getting better. And they also know who might be slipping a little bit.
Yeah.
And they also can understand the personality of the building so that they get you to the right place that fits your personality. But it's not just that, Nancy. Another type of business that I think falls in that same category, like when we talk about the placement, is people will oftentimes call 1-800 about there's a legal plan or something like that you can do. Maybe you sign on your computer and you can draft your own documents.
Will or trust,
And it's going to save you all this money. And I can tell you from every elder law attorney, even though they'll say like, oh, we know how to do Florida law. I said, have you ever been on a government website and you try to fill out one of the forms and they give you these little check boxes like, here's the question, and you click the check box that is your answer. And sometimes you stand there scratching your head going like, well, it's not that and it's not that.
Right.
It's kind of in between.
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer this question. And so the problem with particularly that kind of work, talking about any kind of that legal document stuff, is when you need it to work, particularly in elder law care, you don't get a do-over. If it's
well, you do get a do-over some cases if you have sound mind and body. And our elder care attorneys here, mark my words, they're busy cleaning up the wills and trust situations that people have gotten themselves into because they did this online and they're like, this is not right, or I found this out. So it's really important to talk to an elder care attorney. But it's not just issues that, we think of elder care attorneys, we think of elderly or seniors, right? But everybody, no matter what age you are, I know, I'll take myself, for example. My husband happens to be very handy at home. I'm very, very lucky about that.
Yep.
If he didn't exist, I told him, if you just poof went away one day, I wouldn't know how to operate our home. Who would I call for air conditioning? Who would I call for electrical work? Who would I call for drywall? We're remodeling our bathroom. And that's a big one with seniors is changing changing a bathtub to a walk-in shower.
Absolutely.
So, electricians, plumbers, drywallers, any kind of home repair. We can't live in Florida without AC. This weather, certainly we need heat. It does get cold, contrary to what a lot of people think in Florida. And if seniors, most seniors I know, want to age in place in their own home, they're going to need their lawn done. We've gotten calls from seniors that need their trees trimmed before a storm so it doesn't land on their roof, and they need yard cleanup. They're independent at home, but they can't clean up all that. Yeah. These are all the type of businesses that if you're a trusted one of those business and you want us to promote you, you need customers. Our callers, our base of seniors here need you. They need somebody who will do that, who's reliable, who's trustworthy. We need those kind of business. Absolutely. We need to always be adding to our network. I know that's the boat I'd be in if my husband, he always seems to know who's to call if he can't fix it himself.
Right.
I don't know who to call.
Well, and there's another factor to that, because not only is it that you could have great expertise in knowing who to call, but there is a dynamic that happens to us here in Florida, which is how many people are new to Florida because they have relocated here from someplace else. Yes. They said, I'm going to spend my golden years in Florida, and they come from the north, they come from the west. It doesn't, but now they're new to Florida. And so they also need to get educated and connected to the resources that are going to help them here locally. Yes. And if you're a business here in Brevard County, you need to be speaking to those people who are coming in and asking those questions, which is another great reason for getting connected into helping seniors, is because a lot of those people call us because they have the money, they have the resources. They had great resources up where they came from, but now they've got to develop. They don't know what
they are here.
Exactly.
And we've gotten calls. I can't tell you how happy it makes me when we get a call from somebody that's just moved to Brevard. Yep. And by the way, we are helping seniors of Brevard. We focus on seniors, but we've helped non-seniors. Yep. We've even helped people that call from out of state.
Yes.
They said, we don't have an organization like yours. Yep. What do I do if, and we've put them in touch with whatever organization in their state can help them. But it's who do you call? And I love those calls. How do you know what you don't know? When somebody calls and they're preemptive, they're real, you can tell they're a really organized person. Yep. And they call, they don't have an immediate need, but they're like, I'm new, I'm from this state. I have no idea what's around here. Yep. And we can start to educate them on the resources.
Well, and it's not only that, but a lot of times the calls that we'll take are from the adult kids of mom or dad who's here in Florida. Yes. They say like, oh, we were down over the holidays and we were there with mom and dad, and I see that they need to have some more help and I don't know where to begin.
Yeah.
And those are calls. So again, if you're a local business and you're a trusted provider here in Brevard County, it makes sense for you to have a conversation with us here at Helping Seniors and see how we might be able to work together. Because again, I think being a good, reputable business that provides good senior information and education is really ultimately a good business plan. I often use the term, Nancy, that advertising is good. I believe in it. I believe it works. I believe it helps introduce new concepts, new products to people. But I think there's a higher level, which I call informational education, where you're really doing the best. You may not necessarily be able to, have the picture that shows the world's best, whatever it is that thing is. But for many times you're selling something that's a bit more conceptual. People need to know they can trust you. Yeah. And when they've read an article or seen you on the TV or heard you on the radio,
you become familiar.
You're a person that says, I feel like I could ask this person about this and it's going to be okay.
How many people do you think out there know Dr. Sheldon that have never met him just because he's in our newsletter every single month in our Helping Senior in Senior Scene magazine, or our other folks in our network that write our articles and contribute, and they see these folks and they're like, it's a familiar face. It's a much more comforting feeling than saying, all right, I need XYZ. Let me go to the internet. Yeah. If you even have internet, even if you know how to use it, seniors are getting more savvy, certainly, but there's still some seniors out there that are uncomfortable. Well, we try to reach you every way we can. You can use the internet to reach us, but we also have our phone line. We have our media. We're not trying to sell anything. No. all we want is to be able to connect you with what you already need.
Yeah. And there's another point. We make it a habit to get out to all the different expos, health fairs, senior things that are going on, because it's another way we interact with our audience is, if a senior needs help, doesn't matter where they are, we're going to try to make sure we get them information that's going to advance their journey.
Right.
So if somebody is watching this, maybe they have a business or maybe they're interested in increasing what they're doing with their business, and they say, okay, I'd like to learn about Helping Seniors sponsorship opportunities. How do they do that, Nancy?
There are two primary ways. One is our phone number, and our phone number at Helping Seniors of Brevard is 321-473-7770. And you can ask for Nancy, but any one of us would be able to help you. You can also go to our website or email us, at info@helpingseniors-of-brevard.org. That's info@helpingseniors-of-brevard.org. And I encourage anybody who's watching that's interested either in what resources we provide, or you're a potential sponsor and you're interested in connecting with us, not only reach out to us, but explore our website.
Yeah.
It has a lot of good information. Our TV, radio, I don't want to say newspaper, but our newsletter articles, they're all archived.
Yeah.
So if you miss a program or miss one of our live educational series, you can look that up by subject matter from your own home.
No, it's so important. So again, that number 321-473-7770. And let's take advantage of the opportunities that exist right here in Brevard County, the business of helping seniors. So thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
And always good to visit here on Helping Seniors TV. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode. See you soon.
I'm Joe Steckler. Thank you for joining our program today. I'd like to remind you that our senior information line is available to you at 321-473-7770. There you can get help and direction that could be helpful for your specific situation or circumstances. The work of helping seniors is very important, but we can't do it alone. That is why our sponsors here in Brevard County are so important. I'd like to thank our many area sponsors, businesses, and medical providers who support the mission of helping seniors that help us carry the cost of our media efforts. If you'd like to join us either as a business partner or simply donate as an individual, we welcome your call at 321-473-7770. You are always welcome to visit our website at www.helpingseniors-of-brevard.org. Thanks so much for your help. It does make a difference.